Hello everybody, welcome to this week's edition of Pigskin Preview. Danny Daniels, David Johnson, and some big games coming up involving Walton County High Schools this Friday night. Let's start with the team that you see the most of, George Walton Academy, David. They got Pinecrest, so what can we look for from that one?
Well, this is an interesting situation. Pinecrest has ruined a lot of George Walton seasons. I wouldn't say ruined, they've ruined some regular seasons or pulled an upset. Back in 2009, they came into the stadium over at Keith Henderson Stadium and upset them with clearly an inferior team, and George Walton just kind of laid down and let them and lost to them. But they went on to win state championship that year. Last year they were in GISA, and of course last year George Walton traveled up to Cumming and riding high in the polls, looking pretty strong, and just got throttled really by Pinecrest team. So this is a team that I think George Walton's frankly been better than them. For some reason they just really struggle with Pinecrest. So we'll just see what happens again this week if they can go ahead, and I think if they can jump on them early, get Stanley Williams, run a couple of 60, 70-yard touchdowns and get ahead early. I think they can pull this off hopefully.
What kind of offense does Pinecrest run? Is it giving George Walton a problem?
It's just basic pro set, different formations. It's not like a spread or anything like that. It's just for some reason, I don't know if Pinecrest just particularly gets up for this game or what, but for whatever reason, they seem to really come on and play well in this game. And it's going to be important. It's a non-region game, so you'd think, well, it doesn't really matter. But in Class A, of course, nowadays every game matters, because it's not. You don't pick the top 4 teams at the end of the year and send them along to the playoffs. Now it's the power ranking system where you have the top 16 teams, and they have this calculus and formula they put you through. And right now George Walton's sitting at number 12 out of 16. So they lose this game, they could very well drop out of that top 16 spot, or out of the top 16, and that's really going to hurt them trying to get to the playoffs. So they really, even though this isn't a region game, they really need to win this one to stay up there, because they've got a lot of tough ones coming up with Athens Academy and Prince Avenue still looming on the schedule. So it's a key game for George Walton to come around and keep their power ranking numbers up.
It'd be easy for them to overlook Pinecrest and look past them a little bit to Athens Academy, since that is going to be such a big ball game. But as you said, Pinecrest not a region game, but with those power ratings, it's as important as a region game.
Oh, sure, yeah. Every game in Class A now, every game matters. It's not like you start the season with a couple of non-region games and you can kind of mix and match your players and see what works for you. You just can't do that in Class A anymore. Every game matters. The points pile up, and so yeah, they need to win this game. And the only other option, of course, you lose this. The other option to get in is all region champions get an automatic bid. So your power rankings don't matter so much. But with the loss already on your schedule, they're already a game behind in the region right now, and they're going to have to try and win out. That's going to be a tall order. So to me, they just really need to win as much as they can to keep in that top 16 spot.
All right, Social Circle's on the road up in Hall County against Riverside, and we talk about Social Circle every week and really try to be as positive as we can and not embarrass anybody, because good coaches have been through losing streaks like Ron Seabury's going through at Social Circle, and you got to feel for those kids, but they got to find a way to score a touchdown.
Yeah, there's no sugarcoating it. They are really struggling. They've gone 3 straight games now without scoring a point. I think I look back, they've scored 6 points in the past 20 quarters. It started out their season opener, they really looked pretty good, and you're thinking, okay, maybe they're turning a corner here. But ever since that first game, they just really struggled, and they just cannot score. I mean, forget stopping people, they just can't even score. Early in the year, I think I picked them to go 1-9, and this is the one I thought they would win, this Riverside game, because last year, they gave Riverside a real run. They lost 35-34. That's the closest they've come in the past several years of actually winning a game. But Riverside's, turned things around a little bit here. They're not a bad club, and so it's going to be tough going up there too, playing up there, in that military setting and that school, that boarding school up there in Gainesville. It's not an easy place to play. I've seen George Walton go up there and struggle enough to know. So yeah, this is another tough week for Social Circle. Frankly, I forget winning. It'd be just nice if they could just score some points.
I've always wondered, and I've seen Riverside play. They used to be in AAA a long time ago. I wonder what kind of crowd or community support a military school has when the parents are so many miles away.
Yeah, most of the crowd is either alumni or the students. I mean, the students will pretty much live there, so you know, what else are you going to do, I guess. And so they show up, but yeah, not a whole lot of community support there. Of course, you've got a lot of competition up there with Gainesville and the Hall County directional schools and you know, Chestatee and all those. So it's a lot of competition for the fan base. But yeah, not a lot of support except for, you know, like I said, some alumni. The students do show up.
All right, Loganville's going to be on the road at Windabera, and this game really concerns me. I saw Windabera play Monroe area earlier this year, and they are really improved over the last couple of years. And Loganville it's got to be easy for them to look ahead to Heritage, but Windabera can win this ball game if Loganville doesn't play well.
Oh, I agree. In fact, I think there was a preseason poll. I think I was the only person in that poll to pick Winder not to finish in the cellar this year in the region. Yeah, they're definitely improved. One thing I think in Loganville's favor is I think they learned their lesson about overlooking teams last week against Appalachia. They went up there and faced a winless team, and they were getting their hats handed to them. They didn't score. They got shut out in the first half. Really had a miracle finish at the end to pull that game out and to keep their postseason hopes alive. So hopefully, you know, Loganville learned a valuable lesson about overlooking folks last week, and they're not going to do that again against, like you said, you know, a much improved Windabera team.
All right, that ball game, a region game in 8-5A, and Loganville's got to win it to be able to say that Heritage game is going to carry any importance a week from Friday night. Walnut Grove and Monroe area. Monroe area has not even been threatened. I saw them last week against wherever we were, Stevens County, and they put 47 points on the board, ran 15 plays in the first half, scored 7 times, and it's going to be a really tough challenge for Walnut Grove.
Yeah, I don't know what more we can say about Monroe area. They're just, number one, not to belittle anything, they're not in the strongest region. I mean, Region 8 Quad A is not the toughest region in the state, and they haven't been challenged. I mean, I think Lanier got within maybe 13 points of them. That's the closest, and that's a shocker. I didn't think anybody would stay within 3 touchdowns of these guys, but they score at will, they score early, they score often. I mean, and it's not just 1 or 2 people. I think last week 5 different people scored in that first half run. So it's pick your poison. Walnut Grove, again, you can see them taking steps in the right direction, and they're obviously improving. But let's be honest, you know, this is one of those that probably will be over by halftime, and that's no knock on Walnut Grove. You guys, you're in good company. You know, there's a lot of teams that have faced this situation, and you know, and Monroe's they're just head and shoulders above everybody else, and there's just no denying that.
And if you're Matt Fligg, the Monroe area coach, they have not been challenged, and I think he would like to find somebody that would give him a tough half, and he hadn't found that team yet.
Well, you look down the schedule, probably Chestatee. That's probably the next. I know Eastside beat them last year 35-0. Don't think that's going to happen. Eastside's down a little bit this year. Don't think that's going to happen. Chestatee, I think, will be their biggest challenge before the playoffs hit. But even that, you know, I mean, I thought Stevens County would at least give them a good game, and you know, 47-0, you know, up in Toccoa. So. Yeah, I mean, outside of, I think we mentioned last week, outside of spotting the other team 2 or 3 touchdowns before the game starts, I don't know what you do. I mean, you can't just throw the game or you know, I guess you could do the opposite of what a lot of teams do, put your JV in to start the game, and then bring in your varsity for the second half. Other than that, I just don't see any other option here.
Their other game in the county has Loganville Christian Academy at Young Americans Christian Academy. That's in Conyers. Lions suffered their first loss a couple of weeks ago. They'll be looking to bounce back on Friday night, and they probably will, and still keep that back-to-back state championship hopes alive. Don't forget high school football. Most games start at 7:30 on Friday night. David and I'll see you next time.